Good morning, students. This video, I am making this video for class 10th. I am taking this chapter number 2, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. So, I I decided to make this video because this chapter is not so simple. You need to read it once or twice to understand this chapter, because this chapter deals with a real situation of Nelson Mandela's life. I have taken out the text of this chapter in another phone, as I don't have book right now, so I am going to send you this text on your WhatsApp groups also. You will read the text of the chapter 2 or 3 times and then you will understand. Most of the important points you will understand now only after watching my video. I am going to discuss this chapter with you people today. So, see, this is the chapter Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Now, when you are going to watch my video, you please keep your text with you in other phones. Yes, you will find before you read, you will find this term, and that is apartheid. I am going to discuss it with you later. But now I just want to tell you that this extract is taken from the Autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Now, what is the difference between biography and autobiography? Yes, you may be knowing it, that biography is a story of a person written by some other people, by some other man or woman. But autobiography is that, for example, I am writing my own story, my own self. I am writing on my own. When I am writing my own story, then it is known as autobiography. So this extract has been taken from the Autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Yes, you see, he was born in 1918 to 2013. But the main thing is that he spent 27 years in imprisonment. 27 years is a long time he spent in the imprisonment, and for a single cause, and that is freedom. Now, what is the freedom? What is this freedom which they wanted? That freedom was the freedom which the black people wanted from the whites. More than 3 centuries, their country, South Africa, was under the control of the white people. So he fought for one single cause, and that is freedom. Freedom of his people. He was a black man, and he was fighting for the rights of the black people. Now, here you will come to know the meaning of apartheid. Apartheid is a political system under which the people are discriminated on the basis of their color. Like in South Africa, black peoples were discriminated by the whites. They were not given even human rights. They were not given the rights which white people were enjoying. They don't have the right of education, of choosing their own profession, or voting. Means they don't have any right. They were the victims of the hatred of white people. So here, in this chapter, you will find a speech given by Nelson Mandela, and here he is going to share with you his experience when he became the first black president. Remember, the first black president of South Africa. So on that day, he gave this speech. Now, Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. He has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. I have already told you. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress. Yes, his party was democratic government. He formed a democratic government, and you know what is democracy. It is the rule of for the people, by the people, and of the people. And his political party was ANC, and that is African National Congress. Yes, you will find here one activity. Some phrases are given here. While reading the chapter, you will find out or you will match the meaning of those phrases. Yes, 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by the dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. Now, the day of inauguration was when President Nelson Mandela is going to take the oath of president, and this ceremony took place in the capital city of Pretoria in its sandstone amphitheater, and many of the world's famous dignitaries came there. They attended the ceremony. It means now the world was globally coming for the support of Nelson Mandela, not the support of Nelson Mandela, but for the support of the cause for which he was fighting. So on that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied. He wrote in the I means he is writing in the first person, and autobiography is written in the first person. He was very happy. I am just going to read those words here which he said when he took the oath. Yes, he said, "Today all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty." Yes, this newborn liberty was for the black people. Now they got the same rights which white people were already enjoying from last 3 centuries. Means they got the liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long. Now that human disaster was what? The human disaster was the rule of the white people on the black people and what they did for them. And we who were outlaws means they didn't have any rights, so they were considered, black people were considered as outlaw, have today been given the rare privilege to be the host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country for what is, after all, victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Now, this was not only the victory of Nelson and Mandela, but it was the victory of justice, peace, and human dignity. We have at last, pause. Never, never and never shall again it be. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. Means now here Mandela was requesting the God that from now onwards this land will never experience the oppression of one by another. Means by one human being, oppression done by one person on another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. R-E-I-G, and reign means to rule. Let freedom rule and God bless Africa. You will find some oral comprehension question here, but you will write it in your copies. And then a few moments later, when they lifted their eyes above, the helicopters and the jets, troops rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of military's loyalty towards democracy. Means the military also took an oath to serve democracy. And then this day was symbolized for me by the playing of our 2 national anthems. Means on this day of inauguration, 2 national anthems were sung there. Means the national anthem of whites and of blacks. So by listening those anthems, this Mandela was very happy. Then on the day of inauguration, I was overwhelmed with the sense of history. Means some events of history flashed back in his memory. The first decade of 20th century is a few later after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth. Means their differences erected a system of racial domination. Means when Mandela was born, he faced the this discrimination. When he was a child, then he did not know what is what is this racial discrimination. But in the last this decade of 20th century, he was a grown-up man, and then this system had overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all people. Means he wanted that all people should get equal rights. Now that day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people. Means this day of inauguration was the result of what? Of the thousands of sacrifices made by the black people of South Africa. Means they fought for so many 30 these years, 3 decades they fought for their freedom, and after 30 years they got this freedom. Of mainly 3 centuries they were under the rule of white people, but they started fighting for their freedom, and it took 3 decades for them to fight and to gain their rights. And those people were not alive to see this day of inauguration, but Mandela is remembering their sacrifices, and he is recognizing their sacrifices in getting this freedom. Now, the policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. This apartheid means the policy of racial discrimination. Yes, the people who faced this apartheid, in their hearts, they were feeling, they know what is the pain of apartheid. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect. And what is it? Now he has given the names of some great fighters, and see, he has written like Oliver Tambo's. Means Oliver Tambo was one, but the people like Oliver Tambo, he is referring to the quality of Oliver Tambo. His qualities were in those people who fighted like Oliver Tambo, so he say Oliver Tambo's. Normally we don't use S with these names, Walter, Cecilus, Chief, Luthulus. He is now naming some big fighters. Now this policy, what it created something, and what? He created men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires, yes, perhaps it requires operation of depths. Depths of operation created heights of character. Now this line is very important, and you may not understand how the depths of operation will create heights of character. Yes, look, the more you are oppressed, the more pain you feel and the more strong you become. The more hardships you will face, the more stronger you are going to become. So the more depths of operation is there, the heights of character was evolved from there. And then time and again, look, it is, no one is born hating another person. Yes, now here Mandela is also saying that such depths of operation to create such heights of character was really needed. Now it is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. Yes, I have also written here courage, because very often I have seen that in the last year's board exams, this question was mostly repeated, that what is the meaning of courage according to Nelson Mandela. Now please students, listen it carefully. Courage is not absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Now triumph means victory. Means courage is not the absence of fear. You will say that I am not afraid. It doesn't mean that you are courageous. But It is the victory over it, victory or over the fear. When you will gain the victory over the fear, that is the courage. And see, now next is that he says that no one born hating another person, because you see, when a newborn child is born, he don't know what is hate and love. We are taught to hate, we are taught to love. So white people always taught their children to hate black people. So he says that no one is born hating the person. It is us, it is we people who educate our children to hate the other person. Because this love is a born passion, not hate. Hate is not a born passion, but love is a born passion with in humans. Because he gives one example here that even the grimmest times in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. One of the guards was white, he was a white man, and he showed some humanity towards these people. So in life, every man has now, in next paragraph, Mandela is talking about the twin obligations. He says that everybody has twin obligations, means duties. One is for his family, and the second is for his society and nation. If a person is free, then he can easily display, or he can easily exercise his duties for his family. He can easily fulfill his duties as a son, as brother, as husband, as father. But he is now talking about the obligation towards his society. His society was not free, and in a society which is not free, it is not possible to fulfill the family obligation also. He also says that I was not born with a hunger to be free. When he was young, when he was small child, one question you also mostly I have seen that this question is also repeated, that what were the two types of freedom? What was freedom for Mandela when he was a small child, and how did its meaning changed when he grew up? So when he was a small child, the freedom was just playing, roaming here and there, roaming in the fields and all these things. But when he grew up, freedom changed its meaning. Now he was a young man. The freedom here means that he wanted equal rights for the development of his society and his people. He saw that he is an educated person, he can go to other countries also, and he can make his family comfortable. But he was not at peace. Why? Why he was not at peace? Because his countrymen, his black people were not free, and he was very overwhelmed with their pain. So he started fighting for the freedom of his black people. And in the last paragraph, he says that now he has got this freedom, and they are going to maintain this freedom at every cost. One of the important lines in the last paragraph is that I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Means both oppressed and the oppressor, both are prisoners. Now, what type of imprisonment both of these are exercising? Means oppressor is the prisoner of hatred. Oppressor is the prisoner of hatred. See, oppressor, who is oppressor here? Oppressor is white people. They are the prisoners of hatred. Yes, because they had that feeling of hatred for black people. So they used to do cruelty with black people. So they are the prisoner of hatred, and oppressed is the prisoner of oppressor. So both cannot exercise, they are both robbed of humanity. Means both cannot show humanity. How? Look, oppressor is the prisoner of hatred. He is inhuman. He cannot show humanity anywhere. And oppressed is the prisoner of oppressor. So he is also robbed of his humanity, as he cannot do anything for his society, for his family, for his people. he is not free to show his humanity, whereas oppressor is the prisoner of hatred. He is already showing his hatred towards other people, so he is also not able to show his humanity. So in the last, Nelson Mandela said that they are going to maintain their this hard-won freedom at every cost. So I think, students, that now this discussion will be helpful for you to understanding the text of the chapter. Again, I am saying, please read the text of the chapter, as it is very important, and without reading this text, you will not be able to understand, or you will not be able to this solve or answer the questions. And this is very important chapter, and every time we get one or two questions, if maybe it is extract based, or it is short answer, or it is value based answer, I am going to send you the last year's value based questions on your WhatsApp groups. So please, students, carefully watch my video. If you have any queries, you are free to call me anytime. Thank you.